Welcome to 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about life with invisible illnesses, hosted by two guys living with multiple sclerosis. Coming to you from the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, I'm your co-host Nix, and with me on this ride is Terry, a Londoner who calls Ontario home. We're so happy you're here with us as we continue to try and normalize a life that is anything but. So let's get into it. Welcome back, Warriors. How are we today? Welcome back into your favorite MS-based podcast. Glad you're here with us. Terry, we're coming to the end of the season. End of season 3 is upon us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe it's
Dude,
been a whole nother year?
a whole nother year of me saying, dude,
As long as you're not saying anyway.
let's move ahead.
So, we are wrapping up. We've had some unbelievable guests this season.
Yeah, man. I was going through all our episodes last night. I was just going randomly, and the first episode we had in season 3, you said something, and I'm like, yo, I love that. And it just stuck to me, and I just wanted to repeat it.
All right.
Yo, we're on fire. Do you remember that?
No. I honestly, I don't go back and listen to anything we do.
Yo, I don't mind hearing my voice anymore.
Well, that's good.
Legit. Legit. Before I could not.
Hmm.
And I know some people who are like, I can't hear my voice. I'm like, if you just force yourself to listen to it, I promise you, you'll get over it. And then you'll get addicted to it. So when I hear my voice, I'm like, hey, that's me. But you said, well, I don't know how it came across, but we're on fire. And then you were like, dumpster fire. I'm like, yeah, we're out of control. I get it. But I love that. So
Yeah, that's kind of that holds true. I'll stand by that.
perfect.
All right, so recording the morning before release. I got my tea. You got your coffee. We're ready to roll. I don't know what we're talking about today. We're just gonna wing it because if this diagnosis has told us anything, it's you can make all the plans you want, and then sometimes you just gotta wing it because they all fall apart. So that's why I don't plan the show very well or very
Yeah.
often.
I try to. I come up with notes, but you're right. Like you always have a plan until you get punched in the face.
That's Tyson.
I
We're not
know,
gonna
man.
talk.
I know.
Not even gonna talk about that. We're not even the only people who lost in that fight were the fans, in my opinion.
We never talked about that, you and I. But yeah,
No, we
we'll talk
didn't.
about that another time because that was upsetting.
It
Hey,
was.
today is my dog who's not alive anymore. It's her birthday today.
Happy
And
heavenly birthday.
thank you. And I give a shout out for all those people who have had pets that have passed on, and they're part of our family. And I just gotta give respect to Jade because she give respect to Jade. She was there the beginning of my diagnosis, and she kept me going. Everybody has a story with their loved ones, their son, their kid, whatever you want to call their pet. But she really helped me out, man, because I was alone for a few years and it was just Jade and I, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And believe me, I've had Miller, my little guy, for the entire time of my diagnosis. I mean, we fostered a hound dog who we didn't have for very long because he had many health issues. I think people remember his name's Jax. He came into our lives and went pretty quickly, unfortunately. But I totally get what you're saying. Miller's still around. And everybody with pets gets it. You get to tell them whatever you want, and they just look at you like, okay, it'll be all right. Can we go for
Outside
a
of my
walk?
home, outside of my home, it was like chaos. And then when I got home, it just felt like everything came together. Everything was fine. She didn't care I had MS. I had a lot of guilt because I want to make sure I took care of her, but she would have been 12 today. So I'm like, man, she died young. Because I have friends, their dog passed at 16, 17. I'm like, whoa. And then I feel sorry for them because I'm like, 16 years, you would have been not that I was just as attached to her if it would have been 20 years. But to be with, you know, your pet for 16 years and then they pass, wow. I don't even know what that feels like. So in a way, I'm glad she died at 8. That's
I hear what
weird.
you're saying. No, I hear what you're saying, dude. I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I haven't really thought about her in the last couple of years. And then last night I'm like, damn, tomorrow would have been her birthday.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm gonna mention it. So
Well, I'm glad you did.
happy birthday, Jade.
All the bones in heaven.
Hopefully Jade's playing with Miller.
You mean Jax, but that's okay.
Oh my God. That's the other dog. Dude, I'm done. Who,
Dumpster. We're off to it. You
who,
said it. You
yo,
said it right, bud. Dumpster fire. Here we go.
who's Miller?
Miller's the one that's still with us.
Oh,
He's my
sorry,
little
bro.
guy. He's my little guy.
Okay.
He's like 35 pounds of pure anxiety. He just barks at every single thing that happens. He needs to let me know. I mean, he's a fantastic yard dog, but he needs to let me know that a fly is buzzing a block away.
Nice. Nice. Things are different when Jay's not here because if anyone's at my door, and even if I had my headphones on and there was music blaring, she would
Mm.
let me know. And now I don't have that. Now I have two cats that are like, like go to the door, let me know who's here. Yeah. So let me tell you what's going on in our town. We have our postal service is on strike.
Really?
Our town, all of Canada, Canada Post is on strike, and I never knew how much that affected me till now.
They can do that?
Yeah, because they were in communication, and it was a whole year of negotiations that never came to a decision.
Wow.
So it finally went on strike, and now they're. And last night I went to check my mail because it was Monday, and I haven't checked my mail all weekend. And a friend of mine was walking in, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm checking my mail." She's like, "Why?" And then I looked at her, and I'm like, "Oh my God, they're on strike." I completely forgot. That's why I'm not getting any bills, which is dangerous.
That
So,
is dangerous.
mm,
And then wow, I'm just thinking like uh medicine delivery by mail.
I don't think, I don't know if
Like,
it's done by Canada Post, but yeah.
oh no, okay. Excuse me. Um, I think I read somewhere that I'll have to verify it. That the United States Postal Service is like the biggest private delivery company for Amazon in the US.
Which one?
The United States Postal Service.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that they have the contract to deliver for Amazon and they're the biggest contractor because never before have you seen um, mail trucks driving around on a Sunday. And then a couple years back, you see them everywhere now. So, but I have to confirm that. But yeah,
Amazon came out with a letter or whatever saying, "Hey, we barely use Canada Post, so don't stress." And
okay.
agreed, because every time I get an Amazon package, it's either through their own little private company that they use, but rarely is it Canada Post. So I'm not stressing out. But medication, that is a good one. I don't know if anyone's affected. And I have a few
Yeah.
friends on that take Kesimpta. So Kesimpta does come in through the mail. So I'll be asking them how they're affected.
When I was uh when I was on Copaxone, that got delivered by FedEx, I believe. Um, so that wouldn't have been affected, but I'm sure I know that my father-in-law, all his medication from the VA comes through the post office. So if the post office went on strike, we would have to drive. Um, we'd have to drive to go pick it up, which is about an hour or so away. So that would be a big inconvenience because he takes a fair amount of medication.
So postal service is really important. We all know that now.
Yeah, but that's what strikes are for, to remind, it's a leverage tool to remind the powers that be that the workers are important.
Yeah, I'm sure they're being pressured right now, galore
Sure.
by people and all that. Something I wanted to talk to you about, which is cool, is when I went on the Voyager, which is our bus. I booked a bus to go visit Katrina's mom at a home. And on this bus, I met someone. Her name is Holly, and it was cool. Like we were driving, and we picked her up from Parkwood, which is a health. I don't know exactly what to call it, a health fitness facility, um,
Okay.
and they deal with people who have issues walking. Basically, there's different tools there that we can utilize, and there's this one machine. Anyway, I was talking to her. Yeah, I said anyway. So I was talking to her, and I'm like, "What did?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm a fire." So we picked her up from Parkwood, and during the ride, we started talking, and she said, "Did you ever go to Parkwood?" I'm like, "No, but I've heard of Parkwood from so many people." And how do I go to Parkwood? Do I have to get a referral from a doctor? Because I know they have pretty cool equipment there. There's one thing that's a bike, and they hook you up like electro. No, I speak nodes. They hook up on you, and then it's a computer that acts as a brain.
Okay.
So really weird stuff, man. So you try to pedal, and it triggers your muscles, and it's for people who have partial muscle loss.
Okay.
And that's me. My legs, I can stand sometimes for 10 seconds, but I can't really walk because there's a part of my muscle I can't move. So I really want to go there. I called them up yesterday, and I'll be checking out their facility soon. But I'm so happy that I
Awesome.
met Holly because she's kind of the one that motivated me to do that. And she's like, "Yeah, you should come." And she told me there's so many people there that have MS. And then, of course, that gets me really upset because why doesn't my doctor tell me about this place? Why doesn't my neurologist? I hope he's not listening, but if he is, why didn't you tell me about this place? Seriously, like, come on. And it just got me so excited. I'm going to go check it out. And there's a membership fee, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. We have a couple of rehab centers, and I think what are they called? Health plexes, where you just do all sorts of exercise and rehab kind of stuff. But yeah, sometimes it's those random connections, those chance encounters where you just spark up a conversation, and all of a sudden now you're now you're on your way to a brand new fitness journey. Man, you have like so many new avenues of physical activity. Like you have that, you've been climbing, man, next is you're gonna have to learn how to fly a plane or a helicopter or something.
Yo, man, we've met so many people. And I'm so much more open in public too now, like discussing my issues. I got,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
um,
I didn't even get a chance to tell you. I forgot to mention it on last episode or two episodes ago when you had relayed the story about your restaurant experience. Um, I had a very similar experience, and I totally slipped my mind.
are you talking about the guy who kicked the chair or another story? I
No,
got so many stories.
I'm talking about the one where you were with your mom and you were trying and the exit when you were trying to get out of the restaurant. That story.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I
Hmm.
so when I went to vote, I didn't even tell you that I had a similar, exactly similar experience. So my polling location is not that far from my house. It's about 250 feet or yards. I'm saying it's close. Uh, not feet. Um, so I took the
Fire.
wheelchair. We walked,
Yeah.
and I'm in the wheelchair, and we went over to go vote, and it was a family event. It was the first time that my oldest was able to vote in a presidential election, just because of how it timed out with her registering and all that.
Okay.
Excuse me, and
Congratulations to her.
it was the first time that my youngest daughter was able to vote at all. It just happened to be a presidential election, so it was a family affair. We all went over,
Awesome.
and everything was great with the voting. No issues. Um, had all the accommodations that they're required to by law. It was super simple process. We were there midday, so maybe a 2 minute wait to vote. There was no real line. Everything was fine there. But on the way home, I live on a pretty steep hill. And when I'm crossing, so I'm at the intersection and I'm crossing, basically I'm crossing the hill. So I'm on a pretty decent slant from one side of the wheelchair to the other.
Yeah, yeah,
And and I'm in traffic. There's no stoplight, there's nothing. It's just an intersection where the hill is about 35 miles an hour is the speed limit, and no one does that. They do at least double that coming down the hill.
yeah,
So we stood there, or we waited there at the intersection for a good, 3 to 5 minutes to try to cross to wait for traffic to clear. And then one car on the higher side of the hill stopped to let us cross. And I was like, "Oh, that's nice." So I go, and
love that.
halfway through, my front casters hit uh gravel that I hadn't hit on the way over, and
Okay,
they stopped, and I
yeah,
wasn't ready for them to stop because they got like caught in a little bit of like a just debris on the roadway. So there I am, and I tip forward, and I'm heading out. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going out of the chair. That's in my mind. So I correct. I lean back, but when I lean back, it turned the chair. So now I'm with the hill. I'm in
yeah.
the same orientation as the hill, so I start rolling backwards. Now, I will say, Kit did offer to push me across the intersection, an offer which I declined several times because I got this. It's
Yeah.
fine. I've already crossed it once. I know what I'm doing. I've been pushing the chair for 2 years now. Now I'm sliding backwards down the hill. I can't believe I can't believe I totally forgot to tell you this. So for about half a second, my eyes are like this big because I'm like, I'm going. I throw my hips to the right to try to correct the chair. It
Yeah.
slides to a stop, and then I and then I muscle my way across the intersection. I mean, thankfully I didn't fall out of the chair. It was a total embarrassment moment because I was like, well, I should have taken the help. And
I
and Kit just looked at me and she was like, so you don't need a push, huh?
Yo, settle down, Kit. Yo, yeah, I understand. I know what you're talking about. And I'm laughing
Uh,
because I'm so glad it wasn't me.
I can't believe I forgot to tell you that.
What about the car that stopped? Did you
They were super nice.
eye contact at all with
Yeah,
them?
oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah,
come.
I was looking right at them
Yeah.
when I shifted, like when I turned. And that's why my eyes got so big. I'm like, please don't start driving.
That's messed up, man. I know
Uh,
that feeling. When you
so
hit the
total.
front of your thing,
Uh-huh.
gravel or whatever debris, and then your chair moves a bit. But
Yep.
I've never had it where he starts sliding backwards.
It was
That's
like a half a second of like I'm going in the and like time slowed down, and in my head I'm like, I'm going in the wrong direction.
yeah.
Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Was there any other cars or was that the only car?
No, that was the only car, thankfully. But Kit and my daughters are standing in the middle of the intersection. The car stopped. So we're talking like three cars. It was like three cars. So it wasn't that bad, but it was like super embarrassing. And I was like, that's what you get. We're trying to, let your ego.
I get it, man. I get it. Sometimes I get asked, do you want me to push? And sometimes I say no, but now more likely I'm like, sure,
Yeah.
sure. You know?
Uh, and it was one of those moments that we all get trapped into, or we all have the ability to get trapped into. It's like it's the ego overriding rationality. You're like the rational approach would have been like, okay, this is a steep left to right obstacle you have to cross. There's obviously debris that I didn't see until too late, you know. So would it have been a big deal to accept the push in the 60 feet or so to get across the intersection? would anybody have noticed? Would anybody have remembered?
Who's making that video game we were talking about? The wheelchair?
He's one of the guests we had on. He's supposed to reach back out to me because I had another idea for a video game. We were supposed
Was
to
it?
be. You got to go through the.
Anyway, a good video game would be Frogger Wheelchair Edition. Definitely. With debris on the road, with, like if you
Dude,
get stuck. I'm sorry, man.
sorry.
But I think
No,
that's
that was
perfect.
me. You
Frogger Wheelchair Edition.
have to edit me out of all that.
So I had sure, maybe. We'll see. I'll see how it sounds. Edit. Okay, listen, I have something to talk about. And this is serious.
Okay.
Um, you know how people go to MS support groups and they get scared because they walk into these local support groups and there's a guy in a wheelchair. He looks really bad. They just don't want to be there anymore because they don't feel like they fit in, and they're just scared to see what might happen to them in the future, whatever the case is. So if I start getting worse and I'm losing cognitive, functions, whatever, I'm obviously getting worse. Does that mean people will stop listening to us because they're like, oh, I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see what could happen.
No, I don't think so. I think I think initially, and myself included, um, we have this. There's this feeling that the mobility aids are somehow contagious, and the mere sight of someone using a mobility aid is enough for us to catch it. And that I think is the fear. Um, but no, I don't think so.
You know what I'm saying, though, right?
I do.
It
I do.
and
It's
that almost puts a little pressure thinking about it on me, thinking, oh, now I don't want to tell people this and that.
sure.
You know,
I think that you, like everybody else, have every right to be exactly where you are as you progress with this. Um, and then you leave that choice to anybody who's listening. That's Terry. Um, I mean, you can you can be concerned for your own progression and your own cognitive function. Um, but I think it puts too much undue stress on yourself to worry about how you look and the appearance, or what they would say the buzzword is the optics of our show based on how we are, or how you present yourself based on the current status of your disease progression. So I wouldn't worry about that. You let them decide if they want to bail, and if they want to bail, that's on them. I'll still be here and we'll still be making the show.
nice.
So
No, no, I hear you. I hear you. I just, it's just something I pondered
I
upon
get it.
because I'm
I get
like,
it.
and I always say if someone is not giving me eye contact or they don't know how to deal with me, that's not my issue. That's their issue
Hmm.
because they're awkward. And I'm not. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, but I get it because it's the same hangups that I had when we were talking about making the move to video. How do I look? You know, our how do I sound? You know, all this stuff, all those fears that we had from even starting the show.
Yeah.
I mean, season one, episode one, I was a complete bundle of nerves even when we went live with it, and no one listened to it for like 3 days.
Yeah, I remember those days, man.
So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wouldn't worry about it. Listen,
Okay.
we have our people. Our people are amazing. Everyone that listens to the show reaches out to us. You know, and more people who are just like them will find us and will stick around. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat it.
Whew. Okay. No, just joking.
Welcome to Therapy with 40 Below Zero.
This is my therapy, bro. You have no idea. So I went to another trivia night, game night at some restaurant, and went to use the washroom. You're like, here we go. No,
Another
everything's
washroom
okay,
story.
bro.
No,
It's just a little thing. So I went and great handicap stalls, private. It's amazing. I went into the stall and I noticed that, and I'm glad I didn't need to. I need it because I'm glad I didn't need to use it because I was doing my number one business. But I sat down because I have to sit down.
obviously.
I remember someone saying, "Oh, you sit down like a lady when you pee." It's like, yo, you can't say that. That's not right. First of all, there's a lot of guys that sit down even without any. I remember some guys saying, "Oh my God, it's so much easier sitting down, especially in the mornings when I'm really tired and peeing." But it seems like we shame guys for sitting down while peeing. Do you stand up while you poo? Okay, so I was using this washroom and doing my little number one, and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, this is not a bad washroom, except for the toilet paper is against the wall to my right, like perpendicular. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
somehow explain it to the audience. It was to my wall to the right, and it was a good 2 feet away, so I could reach it. But I knew that with my abs, I would have to turn this way, and there's no grab bars to balance myself. It would have been a struggle to get that toilet paper.
Hmm.
So I didn't need to use it, but I knew it would have been a struggle. It doesn't matter. I I went back, enjoyed my time, and then when I was coming back to the washroom after, because before we head out, I want to make sure I empty my bladder.
Sure.
I saw another washroom that was not for the disabled, and they had their toilet paper was in the normal spot. You know where the toilet paper is? Right
Mm.
on the on. It's perfectly placed, like right in front of you to your right a bit. So now the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was with someone and I said, "Do you see that? Do you see how the toilet paper over here is not situated properly?" And then I'm like, oh, "Man, what a bitch I am!" And and I'm just wondering, don't are we
Go
just
ahead.
bitches now? Because when I was saying, "Look at that toilet paper," and I was actually verbally saying, "Look at that toilet paper. Why is it situated properly? Why is the one in the handicap stall not?" And then some guy's walking by me. I'm sure he was like, "Oh, look at this angry, sick guy," or and I'm like, man, am I just a bitch now? Do I just complain about everything? Should I have went to the manager and said, hey, excuse me, I don't think this is situated properly. You might need to fix it. Or do I just let it? I'm just bringing it up because I can.
Well, the answer is no. You're just hyper aware of things and the only reason you're aware of them is because you have to be.
Okay.
Um, I would imagine that the position was moved further back to meet the requirement. A lot of times, the requirement for it's the ADA here. I don't know what you call it up there. It's the Disabilities Act,
Okay.
whatever. It's the one that mandates how things are built based on wheelchair use.
Okay.
Um, I would guess without seeing it that the position of the toilet paper was moved to accommodate the radius of turn, the clearance for a turning radius for a wheelchair. That's my guess. So that's why if it's forward and to the right for the non-handicap stall, it's because they don't have to meet that same clearance for the turn. Because sometimes things that look good on paper don't turn out practically. I mean, they haven't yet invented the swivel toilet seat.
I
That would have been helpful, I'd imagine.
I don't know. I don't know how to. If I approached the owner and said, "Hey, what's the deal with this?" I'm sure he would be like, I'm sorry. I will whatever I could do to help. I'm sure they're not doing stuff to try to piss
Mm-mm.
off. You know what I mean? And another
So
thing is the only reason why I'm like noticing that is because in order for me to go to get toilet paper, I'd have to turn my body like this, and I know I would have had problems because of my ab weakness.
right.
So, and
Um,
no one understands that, which is okay. I'm not
so
expecting.
the natural question is Do you go there often?
No.
Okay.
And, Katrina was like, "Do you want me to come with you?"
Right.
And I was like, "No, I got this. I don't need you to come with me."
And
But
the reason why I ask that is if it's a place that you frequent often, you could go to the manager and say, "Hey, listen, I'm here every Thursday or or Monday, whatever uh, trivia night is. I'm here every trivia night. This is something I'm running into. Is there any way we can make a modification to that? Like I'm here all the time, and not to be like I spend all sorts of
yeah,
money
yeah,
here. And
yeah,
you need to fix. No, it's like, dude, listen. I know you don't realize it, but I'm here all the time. This is something I can't. And you're right. You'd be hard pressed to find a business owner who, when they're approached rationally, because you don't want to go in there and get on your soapbox and be like, blah, 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 screaming and pounding your fist isn't the way to get stuff done all the time. Um,
just some of the time.
yeah, there's a time and a place for that.
Okay, no, just
But
yeah.
if you said, I'm here all the time, this is an issue that I have, is there any way we could modify that? I'm sure they'd be like, yeah, sure. I'm sure it's like two screws holding it to the wall. We just move it. So, but no, I don't think you're a bitch or bitching. I think you're just
Thanks,
aware
buddy.
and it's hard enough to overcome like the 16 challenges and hardships just to get to trivia night. And then to have another one in the bathroom would be like just adding to your day. So, but
There
yeah,
was construction. So when I was in there, I think the host of this, they came up to me and made sure, "Hey, is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, everything's great." They're like, "Did you have any problems getting in here?" I'm like, "No, but there was construction outside. So the curb, there was no ramp to get up on the curb. So I popped my wheelie up and I had someone push me up on the curb. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all.
yeah,
But and they said, "Any problems?" And I'm like, "Do I say?" So I said, "Yeah, a little bit because of the construction in the front." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish." I'm like, "Hey, there's nothing you can do. There's
yeah,
nothing. I'm just being honest. I'm not being like, you should have fixed that for me." But you know what's cool? This trivia night was, they called it the London Knights, which is our um, OHL team, not the NHL team. Anyway, it's the Ontario Hockey League. Okay. So, and they're really huge, these guys. And the mascot was there because it was a Knights trivia
okay,
night, which is funny. And the mascot was there, and everyone knows the mascot, and he's just whatever. So he was walking around, and I got dabs like 3 times because I was in a wheelchair. Yo, it was so obvious.
hey,
He'd walk by me, and he'd just be like, "Hey," and I'm like, and then he'd walk by again. I'm like, "Oh, another one? Oh, nice." And oh, another one, nice, because I was on wheels, and he was just like, "Respect," And anyway, it was really cool. Did I just do anyway again?
yep, put another dollar, another check mark on the wall.
Yep.
Oh, I don't care. I think it's funny. Um, one of the when we were talking with the woman who runs the Miss Wheelchair USA, when we had her on, she
Lowry.
yeah, thank you. Um, she had the she opened my eyes to one of the greatest phrases that I've started using since we had her on the show, which was instead of referring because she was talking about in Dubai where they don't refer to people as handicapped, they refer to them as people of determination.
Oh yeah.
That was the coolest thing. I was like, you know what? That fits so much better. So I started using that. Unfortunately, I can't find any reserved for people of determination signs so far, but I'm sure Amazon will
Yeah.
now give me 6 different ads that I've mentioned it out loud.
But how would you use that word? Like, you would
But
compliment someone by using that word?
well, instead of saying it's handicap accessible, you would say it's accessible for people with determination. And I like that so much better because on different levels, based on where we're each at with what we're dealing with, we're determined to get through our day.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. And that is
So
cool.
I love that. I don't think it's ever going to catch on, especially down here. But let's start a movement, Terry.
What do you
Let's,
call those people that are not determined? You just don't see them.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
but back in Toronto, I had a barber that told me his friend has MS, and he was asking me, how to get him out of the house because he was not leaving his home, and his wife was having problems because he was always depressed. He had kids. He wasn't. Man, I had no words for him, and I didn't know anything about support groups at the time. This is like 10 years ago, and and I was proud of myself because I'm like, I'm trucking on. I'm like, and I felt bad for the guy in a way because he had kids, kind of like your situation, bro. So the
well,
fact that it's so real how I was in a good place. I was just fortunate enough not to have kids and feel so guilty. And I don't
I
want to
hear
say the wrong things to you, man. You know what
what
I mean? I don't want to trigger you,
you're not.
but
You're not
yeah,
gonna.
life can be really shit sometimes.
So what would you say to him now? If that scenario was now, if your barber said, "I have a friend, he's got MS. How do I get him out of the house?" What would you say to him now?
So much easier now. Yeah, I would definitely push him into a support group for sure. Definitely.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say, hey, tell him to give me a call. No, man, I got too many problems to try to help somebody else personally, and because I do that a lot. And then people gravitate towards me and then they forget that I have issues too. I just put them to the side to help you. And I'm not selfish in that way. But these support groups, man, like I always say, they're so great.
Hmm.
And every time someone joins them for the first time, and if it's me that has told them you should go check it out, they come out of it saying, thank you so much. I didn't know one person with MS, and now I know 30.
Yep. And it's a good starting point because no matter what your illness is, there's a support group for it somewhere. And if not, you can always start your own. You don't have to be, you don't have to be like anything special. You can just say, "Hey, I'm just a person." Just put yourself out honestly and say, "Hey, I'm a person who's living with this, and I want to talk to people who are also living with the same or similar kind of challenges." Um, but it's a good starting point because then once those connections are made, before you know it, you're flying to other provinces and learning how to climb, and it's support groups are a great place to start.
The support groups in Canada, I don't know how it is in the States, but in Canada, they're all run by volunteers who pretty much have MS.
Hmm.
I don't know any MS support group that's run by someone that doesn't have MS.
Yep.
But there's support groups in other illnesses that are run by social workers, not actual, which is, I know it's
Yeah,
fine. They're trained and stuff, but that still can trigger a lot of people. It's
they
like,
can.
who are you to say that? You don't even have the illness. I'm
So, yeah, that's an issue that we talked about um, when Dr. Wagner was on the show because he's caught flack for that.
all the time.
So that's a hang up, you know. But I don't think it should be a a barrier. Um, there are certainly, as we've seen numerous times, talking to numerous people through a wide variety of illnesses and challenges. There's a lot of things that cross over between diagnosis. There's a large number of similarities, especially when it comes to mental health. And the hit of the ego, and that's not specific to MS or whatever. So I would not go to a support group just because the person who's running it is is a trained social worker, but doesn't necessarily have the specific illness or challenge that I do. I would certainly go.
And I'm not hating on social workers. I
No, I
think
got
they're
you. I get what you're
great.
saying.
I think they're very much experienced. I'm just saying, like, because now I'm being spoiled with all these support groups with MS
Yeah.
Canada, and they're
Well,
all
and we are kind of spoiled because we do have the ability to go to our respective websites and click through the links to find the groups that exist. So yeah, we are spoiled because we
it's.
because we have navigators, right? We have ambassadors, we have navigators, we have
You guys call them navigators too?
yep, mhm,
Oh, cool. Okay, so
activists. We have we are spoiled. The MS community is very good at support. They definitely know where all the resources hide.
for support, just for support, now is the time to have MS. Now is the best time.
Yeah, well, when I was in DC earlier this year, the activist who I kind of been dragging my feet on getting on the show. I can't. It's my fault. I've been dropping the ball to get her here. Um, she stood up on the stage and said, "It's a great time to have MS." So yeah, it was pretty funny when she got up on stage and said that. So hopefully early next year we'll have her on.
Cool. Cool. That sounds good.
Holidays coming up. Do you do anything? Does the day come and the day goes?
I love Christmas. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm going to get hated for this, but I love Christmas. I'm that kind of guy. But I don't want to put decorations up because then I got to put them down.
Yep.
So
Yep. I totally understand. I think I agree. Um, Christmas is, I'll admit, Christmas is not my favorite holiday. Kit absolutely loves it. So she goes wild with the lights and the decorations and stuff. And um, but I'm kind of like, I understand what the day's about. I'm not hating on it. So no, don't
yeah,
send me any no hateful emails.
I
We're
could say
com-
so many things. I don't know if it's appropriate. So
well, our break is coming up. This is about the time of year where we stop. We take a pause on recording so that we don't have to worry about scheduling around the holidays because there's a lot of demands that get placed on people and there's a lot of energy that gets spent and we know full well that our functional reserve tank doesn't get any bigger around the holidays. We have the same amount of spoons in the drawer.
we met every week of the year.
We did.
It's crazy, man. Like a
Yes, we
whole,
did.
like 2 years now
Yep.
of this.
And I think there was one episode with a guest host.
Yes.
And I believe that's when I was in DC and we couldn't reschedule the guest. So we just had to go for
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
I remember that exactly.
So Terry has a perfect attendance. He gets the gold star for perfect
Bro,
attendance.
come on, man. Dude. Anyway,
That's the clip.
that's my say, man. Every time I listen to my thumb, I'm like, oh, another dude. And how many times I've called a female dude?
Eh. Man, my voice is just tanked today. My throat is killing me. And
Oh,
and
that's
halfway through the episode, I just burned my throat.
a
It wasn't
I
good.
man, I forgot what I was about to say. Uh do do you remember the last time you got sick? Like with a cold?
Um, hmm,
Okay, long enough pause. So here's why I say that. Because remember how I have that whole sweat, I don't sweat,
yeah,
and which is funny because I was talking to Anita, and that was one of the things because of our body doesn't regulate the temperature, so it doesn't know when to sweat. This is, I don't know if this is accurate, but it makes sense to me. She has the same issue, so it felt really good to relate with somebody else that goes through the exact same thing. But when I sleep, for some reason, that's when I sweat. not all the time, but if I'm like under my covers, but never during the daytime, even if on a hot day, even during my workout,
Huh.
no bead of sweat. Okay. Um,
That sounds like a challenge to your trainer.
yo, don't mess around, bro.
I know he's
Because
intense.
Mark, chill out. Yeah, because if I say, hey man, I don't sweat, I don't know why. It's because you're not working hard enough. Bro, I will kill you if you uh sick. I don't remember the last time I got sick in,
Huh,
and I'm not bragging because I know I'm getting sick. I just don't have the same
right.
symptoms. So, I don't know. I had a little sore throat. Remember, I was telling you this? I had a little
Mhm.
sore throat. I don't know if it's because this or that. I don't know if I was going through something, but I'm just wondering, and I'm asking everyone: has anyone noticed that you don't get sick at all? No colds. You know, I
But
maybe viruses would be different. I've never had a virus lately, but I don't get
well,
colds, man. I don't get that.
it would make sense. It would make sense because our immune systems are working way harder than the normal immune system, which is why we have MS. It gets bored and attacks us. So it destroys everything that comes into your system as fast as it can. I'm not saying that you're never going to get sick because
Mm.
I have this whole, nasal postnasal drip kind of thing going on from my CPAP, so it's like I
Yeah,
feel like I've had a cold for like 5 years because of that, but that's just no matter how many times I clean the machine or, you know, do whatever, but that's a whole thing that's separate from the MS. But no, yeah,
I'm
something I
sure I
never
will
thought
get
about.
sick one day. I'm sure I'll get a cold and be like, oh, there it is. But I just noticed it, and I'm not bragging. Like I never get sick because a lot of people have done that growing up. I don't get sick, and I was like, okay, good for you. But that one time you get sick, you're gonna be a big baby about it. But I just wanted to know if anyone else noticed that. You know, that it does attack my body before it gives me the sniffles and
Yep.
the sore throat. Yeah.
Ugh.
So, do you think you're going through some kind of cold right now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a rhinovirus kind of cold, but like
Okay.
I said, it's that same stuff I get from the CPAP all the time.
And
Maybe I'm just gonna be one of those old guys that has to walk around with a handkerchief and wipe their nose constantly.
dude,
Just keep a pocket hanky ready to go.
I don't get that, man. They take it out and they use it and they put it back in and they take it out. Do they look for the spot they haven't used? Like, I don't get
I'll
that.
let you know once I start using it there.
And do you take it out and say, do you need a hanky? Do you need a tissue?
No, I'm never gonna give it to anybody. That would be weird.
Weird. Yeah, that is weird, man. So what do you we're gonna take a break. We're gonna take like a month break.
We are sort of. There's no way that Terry. There's no way I could stay away from you for a whole month, brother. No, I'm
Thank you.
kidding.
Yeah, man. I'll bother you.
It's been quite the year. Uh, there'll most likely be some changes for season 4, but probably not too many. I think we're locking into a really good format. I very much appreciate the fact that you didn't listen to anything I said and then just started posting videos earlier this year.
What
Because
do you mean?
I remember way back in January, I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe I'm not ready. And you're like, oh, by the way, I put up 4 videos. I'm like,
No, bro, I wouldn't have done that without making sure you're okay with it.
I was on the fence, and you just
Maybe. Okay.
I was like on the fence, but leaning towards yes. And you're like, let me just put one up there and see how it works. And then that was the start of this season. So
Nice.
thank you for not listening to me.
Nice.
Um,
So I'm
and
gonna challenge you some more. Let me figure it how. Never mind. I'm not going to.
so thank you to everyone who has stuck with us. Welcome to everyone that has joined us. We very much appreciate it. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, introducing you folks to new people who are just trying to make it through, just like you are. and just like we are. So happy 2024, and we'll see you in 25.
Awesome.
Talk
Happy
soon, everybody.
2024. Talk soon, guys. So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4 letter T below 0.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are, for Nix, it's Nix_V713. Or for Terry, it's What's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.